Hey Ross World, my money makes money. First and foremost, go Wizards, we're going to win. Second of all, I talk a lot about investing, saving, and budgeting. But you're like, we're doing all this saving, we're doing all this budgeting, we're doing all this investing, but how much do I really need to have in the bank when I reach that golden age of 65 or 63 and a half or whatever it may be for you in order to survive and live in my retirement? Have you guys ever heard of the 4% rule? Have you ever heard of the safe withdrawal rate? So let me explain it as detailed and simple as I can. So first, what you actually have to do is flip around the 4% rule, so to speak, and calculate how much you spend in the year. So if you spend approximately $40,000 a year, you times that by 25 in order to live off your retirement. So you're going to need $1 million invested. So you're probably asking yourself, you're like, well, he's just getting these numbers of how you can live off 4% with $1 million invested for the rest of your life. Okay, so quite some time ago, there was a group and they did a study. It's called the Trinity Study, and you can look that up. You can go ahead and Google that. And what they did from the 1920s up until the 2000s, and what they did was they looked at how much money you would need to retire. And what this study showed was if you invested your money in 50% stocks and 50% bonds, that you could withdraw 4% of your net worth. So what the study showed is you can withdraw 4% of that money invested 100% of the time without running out for 25 years. So if you really do the math here, the 4% rule will work for a 30-year retirement 96% of the time. That means once you retire, you can take out 4% for 30 years, and that will work 96% of the time at that given rate, at that same amount. Now, there is a caveat to this. Now, if by chance you retired in an unlucky year of some sort and you didn't receive pension, you didn't receive any money at all, the 4% rule simply doesn't work. Now, I don't want you to be like, okay, this is a foolproof plan, because it's not. Because the 4% rule does not work 100% of the time. But this is a great gauge, and it comes very close to being perfect and accurate. Close, but not perfect. So you're probably asking yourself, you're like, I don't like a 96% chance, which is really high that you'll have money to withdraw at that 4%. So if you're worried and you're worried about that 4% chance that you may not have money, then guess what? Only take out 3%, because the Trinity study shows that if you took out 3%, that you will have money. If you took out 3%, you will have money past 30 years, even if you didn't make money on your pensions and your Social Security. But let me just tell you this. The 4% rule is mostly well known to everybody, and it's more realistic. So you're like, okay, well, why can't I do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or even 10%? So let me tell you why. First, we talked about index funds. We talked about mutual funds. We talked about ETFs. So these funds average 7% on a given year. So you can actually account that, but you also have to subtract that from inflation being 3%. So let me break this down quite frankly. Your index funds over a given year is growing at a rate of 7%. And these are averages, okay? These are averages at 7% per year. Inflation is 3% on average per year. This is basic math. 7 minus 3 equals 4. So your net worth increases 4% every year. So what am I getting at? What am I getting at is if you spend that 4%, right, that safe withdrawal rate, 4%, that 4% rule, you still have the same amount of money that you did before, because you only spent what you earned on your investment. So you still have money. Once again, your money made you money. So you're like, okay, I understand now. But wait a minute, hold up. Didn't you make a video that said the stock market will crash? I did, but if you do your research, when the stock market back in the 1900s, even up into the 2000s, people were still making money through dividends. And we talked about compounding dividends and also compounding interest. So yeah, there's going to be recession. There's going to be a market crash, but your money is still going to be making money because it's still going to be reinvested on itself. Those are stocks. These are dividends and interest. And so those dividends that were being compounded, that average from then to the 1900 until now has still been 7%, even through the Great Depression, even through the recession that we just went through about 10 years ago. So once again, you can predict the future almost because ever since the 1900s, the constant inflation rate has been 3%. As I always tell you, do your research. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your butt. Okay, this is basic math and this is basic research. I'm just trying to give you the tools so you can have money and you know how to take out your money. So let me just break this down so you guys totally understand what I'm getting at here. Your yearly expenses, the money that you spend, not how much money that you make, the money that you spend. Take, for instance, it's $40,000. And to come up with the 4%, you times that by 25 years, 25. You will come up with $1 million. This is telling you the $1 million that you need to have invested, okay, in order to do the safe withdrawal rate at 4% once you retire. What am I getting at? Consistently, the stock market has been returning 7% for the last 100 years. The inflation rate for the last 100 years has been 3%. So that means that your net worth goes up 4% every year. Now, here's the kicker. You have to reinvest your dividends and you have to ensure that your interest is being compounded. Because if you put $1 million in the bank and it's going to gain 4% on that $1 million, chances are you're going to have 1,040,000 the next year, and you can take out 4%, which is that 40,000. And you can continue to do that for 25 years without running out of money at a 96% chance. So how do you make that 100% of a chance? You simply decrease the percentage to 3%. And you will have that amount of money once you do the math 100% of the time, regardless of the situation. Now, investing is still a risk, but it's a risk that we're all willing to take. Given the last 100 years, dividends, reinvestment on itself has still profited 7%, and inflation has still been inflating and rising at 3%. This is basic math for you to retire comfortably and understand. You know how to budget, you know how to save, you know how to invest, you know how to trade, you know how to manage your money, and now you know how much you need to retire every year up until 25 to 35 years. Here's the base. Now you take it and apply it to your life and see how much you really need so you can start planning your retirement. And that's why I always say the time to invest is now. Because as you invest in your money, as your money is accumulating in your investments account and your dividends are being reinvested and your interests are being compounded, you're getting closer and closer to the amount of money that you need in order to sit fat and happy during retirement. Don't forget about the 4% rule, Ross World. You're going to need it. I'm out.